What's going on, my creative collective? This is your reading for April 28th. The eclipse is coming soon. I'm so excited. Are you excited? I am pumped. Side note, be sure to check out A Course in Creativity. It's launched this week, and I've had, a couple of videos going up, and we're doing this. We're going through the workbook together. So let's dive into today's reading, though, shall we? Let's do this. My daily creative. So I would like to invite the angels, my guardian angels, my spirit guides, protectors, teachers, and their healing energy to this space, and I ask that it is a safe space that allows for the fullest expression of our light, humanity, ascension, and healing. Okay, so the Hero's Journey Dream Oracle deck is coming right up. So this, if any of these decks kind of jump out at you a little bit, you can pick them up using the links in the description below. So do check that out. For today, though, let's see what Spirit has to say. The reward, to celebrate your magnificence. Absolutely. A lot of dancing this week. Dancing, celebrating this, just this beautifully embodied sensuality energy coming through this week. I quite like this. Knights of the Round Table, let their love lift you higher. This is beautiful. So this energy here is very much I'm getting a lot of connecting to ascended masters, that kind of thing, or master teachings, that kind of idea. So what else do we have here? We also have where you are is where it's at. Stay still until you are divinely moved. So this is I'm almost getting this divine pause, right? Just dancing in place. You don't have to be going anywhere. You don't have to be doing a shuffle. But I get the impression that there's some very significant wisdom right where you are that is just waiting to meet you there, my dear daily creatives. So we are starting with the Five of Swords, which is not bad. It just is. Let's take the charge out of it, right? It just is. Let's see how the rest of this shapes up. Five of Cups. Knight of Cups. I'm getting that something may not have gone as you expected. Two of Swords. But I think this may be your thoughts about something. Muse of Materials. Okay. So we have the Emperor and the Three of Wands. Actually, I'll put that like so. So the Emperor and the Three of Wands. That's actually beautiful energy, processing and moving through this otherwise sort of feeling left out energy here. So we have the Page of Pentacles. Four of Cups. Knight of Pentacles. And Judgment. Yeah. So this is shaping up to be another big day, but I get that there's almost this pause, just celebrate where you are for a moment. Just celebrate where you are. And I get that this is wisdom that's meeting you where you are, right? Celebrate where you are, and not necessarily just how far you've come, but celebrate being planted firmly, exactly, precisely where you are in this moment. So we have the Judgment kind of at the end point, but let's take a look at the rest of this year. Now, we don't have too many major arcana, which it is indicative to me that there's a little bit of sort of everyday work. Now, this could just be everyday stresses kind of popping their head up, and that's why you have to take a pause. And honestly, anytime, in the week before or the week of things like the full moon, or full moon energy in particular just kind of makes me a little bit exhausted, more so than usual. But the same thing can be true of eclipses and major energy shifts in just kind of in the air, as it were. Which I think that, societally speaking, we're at one tremendous, juncture with the Pluto return happening in the US soon. And then, kicking off retrograde season with the Pluto retrograde. Like there's change is afoot, right? This is the time of year where that starts to happen. But I'm really seeing here that there's something that is happening in your everyday environment. Something happening in your everyday environment where you're kind of feeling like it's tested your resolve a little bit, and it's left you wondering whether or not what you offer is actually valuable, whether what you are offering is actually valuable. We have the Knight of Cups here, and we also have the Knight of Pentacles. So it's almost like you're doubting yourself, specifically because we have this Five of Swords and the Five of Cups here. Fives also represent change. So this is, navigating different changes for sure. But I think there's a way that you're questioning whether what you're doing is important. And I almost feel like the Five of Swords is like you were doing it anyway. Like you were doing these things anyway. You were doing stuff for the collective. That's what we're doing here on YouTube, right? A lot of readers do that. But there's other things. I'm talking about doing things for the collective in terms of your work. What do you do in your everyday that is for the greater good, for other people, right? That's what I'm talking about with this collective thing, this piece here. The Knight of Cups and the Knight of Pentacles here tell me that there's ways of seeing the work that you're doing. There's ways of seeing the everyday that you're, in the midst of. And this isn't a binary of either or, right? This is both and, I'm getting. But I think that you have to first decide to see it that way, right? There's you have to decide to take the glamours off. You have to take the blindfold off and really see things for what they are: good, bad, indifferent, right? And that's really the kind of creating a bridge here. This is the antagonist energy for today. And I think that this is, really helping you to bridge this energy. This is bridging energy here. And then this Emperor and Three of Wands show up. And I think that is almost how it happens. Like they show up, right? And I think that we had a domino effect earlier in the week, and the Emperor has shown up a couple times, but in the lower portion of the reading. So it's sort of the next, what now? This is the energy we're arriving at today. This is how we're feeling. But then the what next, right? And I feel like this Emperor, this inspiration, is what I love about this is that they're both movement, but in place. And that's really this call to stand still and reflect. Positive expectation. The dominoes are the ones moving. You're not. Staying very still and just letting the universe move you, right? That's also a form, I feel like it's a form of kind of cosmic rest. You're just getting rest here. And I think that that's really, really profoundly important, is you're getting rest. And I think that that's what's going to help you understand what is most important and valuable to you, and valuable for you to move in, move on, move with, and also just to integrate into your power. And this Judgment card here is, I think, showing up because you're kind of, in a way, this is the movement forward. This is where the action takes place, right? You're starting to realize, and then you're moving forward from there. And you're like, oh, right, got it. And then this is when you're divinely moved, right? So this is really just you processing. I think the kind of the everyday stresses, Five of Voices, so Five of Swords can be pettiness. It can be, people attempting to thwart things. It can be feeling sad about what's past. It can be feeling, I don't want to say regret necessarily, it could be in there, but I think that this is more so just navigating pettiness, this Five of Swords. And then I think it's also just that you're, there's very little that is leaving you feeling inspired right now, which is normal given, the daily stresses that come into play around, celestial events. There's a reason why people say, is it a full moon or what, right? Even if people don't believe in it wholeheartedly, they still have these sayings and phrases, which it cracks me up because people be like, that's not true. That's this and that. It's meh. But then they confirm it, right? This is what I'm really getting, is that this is sort of the stress of the everyday. Whoa. See, that's the stress of the everyday, causing things to kind of, I was going to say flare up, and that's really what happened to the cards. But it's the stress of the everyday kind of getting into your head a little bit. And I think that's why it's important to meditate. It's important. I'm going to pull these closer. It's important to meditate. It's important to get centered and stay connected to your wisdom completely, to stay connected to your wisdom, because there's something bigger happening here. There's a bigger shift than what you may realize. The bridging energy, the Emperor, the moving knights, but more than that, judgment. Judgment, I think that this is it's sort of like you're waking up to what's not only important to you, but the how, the how that feels good to you. How are you going to acquire these things and do these things in a way that resonates with your core? And that's principles in action, like what it is that you're going to do moving forward. I almost get that this is just like a subtle waking up to what's most important, and you're looking back at this nonsense. I'm just hearing nonsense, and it can just be minor stresses, right? Like sometimes, when I'm, heading into work or whatever, I'll hit like every single red light on the way, and I leave enough time for that to happen. But I'll be like, "Are you kidding me? Like, really?" And then you have to pull back, and you're like, "Really? I'm getting this way about red lights? Ugh, come on." Get it together, right? And you just start to have fun with it and play with it. But I think there's this awareness. You need to be very present today and leading up to this eclipse energy, my darling daily creative. So let's clarify and see what's going on here. Let's see what this is about. I'm just hearing two sides of the same coin. So maybe this is also how you're going to be present and not neglect to see something that's really important. Double-edged sword. So like these twos, these things that you can't see, like the dark side of the moon, I'm hearing too. Weird and interesting, because then you have this too, like this double-sided thing, right? Something with two sides to it. So, just dot your T's and cross your I's. Yeah. Cross your T's and dot your I's. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to clarify this with the traditional Rider-Waite after I give you really good advice, and then you take it and your sentences don't make sense. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, just be very diligent about the details this week. And especially today, like it could be today, but it could these readings can be watched like, whenever. But 5 of Wands. Yeah, nonsense. 5 of Pentacles, nonsense. This is stuff that's very temporary setbacks, but it's like we get caught up in it. Ace of Pentacles. And Ace of Pentacles has been showing up here over and over, and I just feel like the universe is knocking. Are you listening? Are you listening, my daily creatives? Spirit is knocking. Are you listening? There's a higher wisdom available to you here. Yeah. And I think it's like getting in the way. Heartbreak has been getting in the way. It's almost like a fear. I'm hearing it's a fear of it happening, but it's not. There's something that you're worried about stabbing you in the back. I'm hearing stabbing you in the back, betrayal. There's an energy of, it's like you have to run from it because you don't want it to happen again. I don't know what that means. It could just be everyday stuff, right? Like it could be running late for something and needing to take a specific route. And like, I have not gotten speeding tickets before, and I'm not going to invoke that shit from the universe. So I'm not going to talk about that. But like, that stuff where it's like it gets in your way and it can really ruin your day if you don't have the right perspective. I think that this is part of a bigger habit though. This is part of a bigger habit that you really need to. And then 5 of Cups again, Queen of Swords though, clarifying. So we have the 9 of Cups, the 10 of Pentacles, the Sun, really, really great. I love that here, especially after I talked about habits, because it's like, this is the habit, right? The habit is to get caught up in just the little difficulties and to make it into a bigger thing than it is. And, sometimes it's like reading between the lines and being like, that's totally a sign. Is it completely? Like, and this is where we have to stay connected to know what is and is not, right? What is and is not a sign. What is and is not connected. All of these things are kind of coming together and really starting to weave together this. I've heard before that the way you do one thing can be the way you do everything. So it's being very mindful about these habits, right? The 10 of Pentacles is here to me after I talked about habits as a sign of, are we grounding our everyday in things that matter to us? Number one. Number two, are we grounding it in habits that help to make happiness a reality, that make fulfillment possible? Habits really allow for us to elevate ourselves in our lives, and habits are genuinely everything. People who don't believe that, I'm not shy about talking about this on the channel. I have ADHD, and habits and routines are very important for me to anchor myself in the everyday so that I don't get carried away by things, right? So, I don't take medication for it. There's nothing wrong with people that do, because sometimes people really do need it. It's very important. And one of the things that we're not medication shaming anyone here. Okay. That's not what we're doing. Everyone's allowed here. Everyone's welcome. With this habit though, it's like a habitual way of dealing with emotions. And I think about when I come home, I have, I'm not going to show you because it's up here, but I have something on, I have a key holder on a light switch that I've put behind my light switch, and it has little key hooks on it. So I know where my keys are at all times, so I don't lose them. So there's no like rushing around and like, oh, where did it go? Right. So it's like everything has a place, and it's built by habit. And I almost feel like this is a call to really manage yourself and your emotions in the everyday with those same principles, right? If I'm working on specific things and I know I can't complete that project in that same day, I have one spot in the, my roommates have their stuff around as well. But for me, I have a spot, and I don't tend to have things spill into multiple days, 555 on the time in the form of 1555. Lots of change here. But this is, like stations. I have stations for things so that if I can't complete something, I put it in a specific spot, and I know that the next day it'll be there. And some people might be like, that sounds a lot like OCD. Well, ADHD and OCD affect the same part of the brain, right? And I think that we need to not necessarily shame people because they have those habits. And I think for folks with ADHD, there's a specificity at which we handle things. And I think that what I'm seeing in this spread, the reason why I'm kind of spilling all of this, spilling my own tea here, is that we have, there are ways that we can create stations for incomplete emotions internally. And I'm not talking about compartmentalizing to push away. I'm talking about saying, okay, I can't deal with this whole situation right now, but I want to return to it because there's much richness and healing that's still there. This is still fertile ground for it, right? So I'm going to go back to it, and I'm going to return to it, and we're going to go back and understand this fully and sink into this. And it's understanding that you don't have to do everything in a day, but it's important for you to stay organized outwardly, but also emotionally. Emotional organization is what I'm really talking about here. Because there's a lot of conflicting thoughts, and I think there's just some stresses that are kind of popping up in petty ways that might make you want to go full emperor on someone, like reverse emperor. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. This almost reminds me of the tower in this deck, where the tower is like cracked. But anyways, it's like, I think that this is an important realization because that card came to mind. The realization being that you need to really it's not just about regulation. It's also about awareness. So staying present, meditate, breathe, deep breathing, not just breathing in and out in shallow ways. Like if you're standing somewhere, touch the desk where you are. What does that feel like under your palms? When you're talking to someone and you feel very ungrounded, look at their eye color. Look at their eye color. So much of the time, we don't really look at people. We don't really look at them. I'm not saying like lose yourself in someone's eyes like a creeper, but like, what color are their eyes? Can you tell someone what just happened with that person, but then also little details about them, right? So it's staying present and mindful to people around us and to situations around us so that we're not getting carried away by these like past hurts, by these past patterns that are seeming to be triggered this week by something. So that's where it's just like where you are is where it's at. So stay still until you're divinely moved. So just stay put, my darlings. You don't have to do everything this week or today or what have you. So just resist the urge to do it all, because I feel like you might get a little bit overwhelmed and it might just knock you off path slightly. Like this isn't some like huge transformational thing. Yeah, this is like, choosing to think differently about things. That's exactly it. This Nine of Swords, temporary. It's all temporary, my loves. It's very temporary situations, very temporary moods, and you know this. I think that fundamentally, at a deep level, you know this. High Priestess and Hermit came out together. Wow. So this is something that you fundamentally know. Your intuition is here. Your 5D selves are here to say, this week can only meet you as deeply as you're meeting yourself, and don't dive into work in that way. I'm not talking about diving into like shadow work or anything like that. I'm just saying, have you met yourself in the middle of the day? Have you stopped and really paused to connect with yourself? Yeah, this like rushing forward. This is the Knight of Swords can be very impulsive energy. The Queen of Wands is decisive energy. But I think there's two different directions that you may be compelled to look in this week and today specifically. So I think that instead of charging forward and like rushing forward and saying, I'm going to do this at all costs and da 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 da, like breathe. If you feel like you need to be in a Five of Swords where you have to prove or justify or argue or fight like hell, you do not need to charge forward like this. Take a breath, come from a place of authenticity, come from a place of knowing yourself. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. But also, the Queen of Wands does not give away her power. The Queen of Wands does not give away that shit ever. Like, that's not something that happens. This is also a supportive person. This is about supporting yourself, right? And also being honest with yourself about how hard it is with the Knight of Swords here and the Queen of Wands. This is like being honest with yourself when you feel like that, instead of going into a place of shame, instead of saying like, ugh, I'm just frustrated, da 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 da, like that, and writing all these stories. Just say, you know what, I'm super frustrated, and I just would like to give that person the full peace of my mind. And you're not actually going to, but just admitting that to yourself, that that's where you are, there's so much power in that, because it means that you're not giving away your power to something else. You're just being honest with you, right? You're seeing yourself completely and fully, which means that you can choose then whether you're going to go to that place. And like, you don't have to do that. There's better ways to communicate, right? The pen is mightier than the sword. So this may be a week to do some journaling and let some things out that way. Yeah. Balance, temperance is here. Yeah, and honestly, Three of Wands and Ace of Cups. There's love to be found in these situations where they may stress you out. I'll put this one here. No, here. Okay. These situations may come up and they may stress you out, but the key is to come into balance, and you do that by making sure that you have a full cup in the first place. You have a full cup in the first place. Make sure that you have what you need and that you're meeting your needs. This is, I'm not necessarily an advocate for being selfish at the cost of others, but I am an advocate of being self-centered. I don't know how to word this. Whenever I've, another reader talked about, being accused of being selfish when she did stuff for herself. And I'm like, oh, I know that feeling. I know that feeling very well. So even just saying that makes me feel uncomfortable, because I feel like I have to like justify it. Like I have to say, no, I actually mean this. But like, it's okay to prioritize yourself is what I'm saying here. My daily creatives, prioritize yourself and what you need, because if you don't start there, you're going to be really unclear about what you do need, about what's important to you. Because when these little stresses come and they like grate on you a little bit, it's just going to throw you into a really dysregulated place, and kind of unnecessarily dysregulated. Like you're taking energy from yourself and giving it to other people. Like you're doing things behind your own back. Six of Pentacles, great. That is excellent. That means like there's a balance that's coming in here. Slow your roll, though. Slow your roll. Okay. The Hangman, slow your roll. Just breathe. Take a breath. Take the long view. Think about, what are the different, like, what would this situation be? There was somebody else was going through, like, they were talking about painting, and I was thinking about how when I've moved and it's been like not great, a couple of them, just because there's so much to do, I thought about naming the situation's paint colors, right? So think about that. Like, what would you name this situation? What would you name the driver that cut you off? How would you name their paint color? What would you name that? What would you, and make it funny and fun, because it's all temporary anyway, right? I don't get a permanent like tower thing happening here. I just get a very temporary situation popping up. So it's like finding ways to buffer that and give yourself time to, just be frustrated and be in your like frustrated kid energy. I laugh because like, it's like that kid that exaggerates all of their expressions and emotions to process it. You see these tiny humans doing that, right? They'll be like, whoa, and like making all of these syllables. They're not making words or sounds. It's syllables that they're putting together. But then like in 5 minutes, they're fine. Why? Because they've processed it. I'm not saying throw tantrums. I'm saying just give yourself that buffer to really feel things and process it, just so that you don't get caught up making more of something than what actually needs to be made of it. And there's the Knight of Pentacles. The Knight of Pentacles has been here this whole week with us, so welcome back, friend. That's great to have you back. yeah, how's your week been? Is everything good? um, I think that this is more so you just making slow progress this week, but I need you to understand, my daily creatives, that you are making progress, that you are breaking through. You are there is a way that you're breaking through of patterns of stresses. This just feels like minor things that just irritate you. Like that just like, have you ever tried to do anything on a super humid day where like everything is sticking to you and you just feel like walking through the air, you're walking through other people's accumulated DNA, like that kind of humidity? I'm sorry for the very evocative imagery here, but like it's really hard to feel like at ease and smooth and everything's good, man. Like it's really hard to feel like that. I'm also low key, adding myself like at. um, because when it's really hot out, it's hard for me to think a whole lot. When it gets really humid, it's just like it just feels gross. And it's we get tired more easily, we get frustrated, that kind of thing. And it's like when you're in that place, what do you need to do? You find some place that's cooler, shade, air conditioning, places with breezes accessible to you. So it's like, think about it this way. This week, if you find this place where you're like overheating, right? You're overheating. It's okay to just put things on pause and to just stay still until you're divinely moved, right? We don't have to figure everything out yesterday or today. We can do it in baby steps. And that's what I think the Knight of Pentacles is really here to say. Baby steps, one step at a time. One step at a time. Spirit, can I get some messages for my daily creatives? This is the Miracles Now deck. Happiness is a choice I make. Yes. And I think that we have to remember too that even in the moments where happiness feels inaccessible to us, feeling better is not inaccessible to us. Feeling better is very accessible to us. And we just have to see it as we're not reaching for the best, happiest people and versions of ourselves that we will ever be. We're just looking for a little bit of relief. Okay, and this is something else that's important to keep in mind too, okay? So when you have these reactions to things, do not react, take note of them, observe, do not absorb, return to them when you are in a place that's a little bit more settled this week, my darling daily creatives. Okay, so I trust that my gut reaction is the truth underneath the surface of my fears, right? And that's something that we have to address too. So if these things are coming up and they're part of a bigger thematic thread that's weaving through your days or your weeks and whatnot, you do need to honor the fact that this is a gut reaction. Don't push this feeling away. But if this is minor stresses, you can transmute it. But there's a reflecting that we might be needing to do as well this week. And I mean, it would not surprise me because of the eclipse happening on the 30th on Saturday. So yeah. Spirit, what messages do you have? Honor thyself. Yes, honor yourself. Boundaries. You can check out the video. I will put a card up here. Hold on. I'll put a card up here to tell you, to point you in the direction of the Alchemical Book Club. I don't know why I was struggling. I was having a struggle there with the words. The Alchemical Book Club that we just recently did last week, that is Empowered Boundaries, and that may be a really great place for you to start. So create space for new love. I love this. And I feel like this is the habitual piece, right? Create space for new love. I feel like this is the habitual piece through which all of this is coming together, and the habits that you're doing and engaging in right now are going to make it easier for people and love to find you. And I think that it's going to make it easier for love to meet you where you are, but also for you to love other people, because you will have already dealt with all of these little habits and things like that that could otherwise get in the way of you loving somebody completely and fully. Because if we are constantly reacting to life around us, we certainly aren't going to have a container, a heart space, a heart that is healed, a heart that is open to that, because we're going to constantly be on defense, right? We're going to be like holding our sword. I'm holding a fake sword. It's an air sword. But like, we're going to be in that place of reactivity as opposed to really welcoming people in. So, my darling daily creatives, that is your reading. So it's kind of like a little big day, like it's a big little day. I don't know how to word that. If that makes sense, it makes sense, right? But just put a pause. Don't be afraid to pause and just give yourself the benefit of a minute, a hot minute to react. So if you like this reading or it resonated, please feel free to literally hit that like button, because I like those thumbs. And feel free to like and subscribe. This does help me to grow the channel, and I'm just really grateful that all of you are joining me here. For the new folks who have come, welcome. Welcome to my channel. I'm so grateful for this little small but mighty community that's slowly growing, and not so slowly actually. There's quite a few folks who have joined me this week, so thank you for that. There are other ways that you can connect with me throughout the week. I try to post 2 videos a day to give you the most content and help and guidance as possible. Sometimes it's more videos though, so yay! So check those out, and do check out A Course in Creativity. But if this is where we part, my daily creatives, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day ahead of you. Take care.